Greetings, brothers and sisters. I think we finally at the end. May God bless and keep you. I'm your host, Dwayne Nelson. Right now, we're going to continue our little study on do Christian really need to keep the 7-day Sabbath today? Is it valid? This will be part 9 of this little mini series that we got going on here. Like I said, my name is Dwayne Nelson. I'll be your host. Please like, subscribe, do all that good stuff to help out the channel. You're the only person that can make this channel go viral. It's about viral. I don't know if I want a lot of attention, but you're the only one that can actually share the chat. If you find good content here, please like, subscribe, share the links, do all the thing that you do to get the ball moving. Without further ado, let's jump right back down into this, and we're gonna continue from where we left off, right like that. Alrighty then. If we can get this moving, man, I'm still trying to get the hang of this thing. Anyways, let's get right down into it, brothers and sisters. And we are almost done there. Okay, we got there. I think we can be able to finish this today. I'll do my best to do it, to finish it anyway. Alrighty.
All right. Thank you for that. Man, Rodrigo really wants to know, Adventist dies on Sabbath at McDonald's, lost or saved? Jose, 1 minute to you.
Another fun question. All right. Listen, the reality is, again, like any other commandment, it's like saying, if someone died the moment they told a lie, are they going to be saved? Well, again, that's not how grace works. All right. Grace, where sin.
I can answer that for you. Yeah, he's lost. Yeah, in a nutshell, that's it. I don't know why we beat around the bush with this. I mean, that's our teaching. I mean, that's what happens. Why are we trying to sugarcoat this? Well, I guess I have to put a caveat in there. Depends on what he's doing in there. I mean, if you just go in there, that you ain't in there buying lunch. That's understandable. Someone, God is one that's going to figure that out. But if you're in there buying on the Sabbath because you didn't prepare, and there's also leeway as well. I mean, God isn't that strict or isn't that unreasonable. For example, let's just say you are stranded and you haven't ate for a few days, and you finally find a town on the Sabbath, and you have money in your wallet. Should you fast? Well, I mean, I can't buy anything today. No, you see, those are exceptions. In those type of exceptions, no, it's not a sin to go and buy on Sabbath. In those extreme situations. But when you choose that you can prepare for the Sabbath and all that, and you say, I don't feel like cooking. I don't feel like preparing any food. I might just go home and buy tomorrow. Just like every day, I just go and buy my food. Something wrong with that. Something's wrong with that. In those type of situations, oh yeah, there's no hope for you. Well, I mean, what do you want me to tell you? What do you want me to tell you? Ain't nothing to say about that. We should not be sugarcoating these things. What the brother's doing, he's creating that gray area that no one knows what's going on. I mean, like I said, we shouldn't be doing. We should be able to. There's a saying in Spanish that says "sin pelos en la lengua," mean a straight shooter. In English, I guess that would be. Yeah, that would be the answer I would give.
Sin abounds, grace abounds much, much more.
Now he wants to say that grace abound for people that will fully breaking the Sabbath. Yeah, grace does not abound for those people until they repent. Then grace abounds. You can't go out there and have an adultery with another man's wife and then, but grace abounds here. Grace doesn't have anything to do with that. Doesn't have one iota to do with that. And it definitely does not abound there. Definitely doesn't abound.
And so I believe that judgment is not just God judging by the letter of the law. He's going to judge our motives.
That's like saying, I can go there and sleep with my neighbor's wife and, God will forgive me for this. Let me see how, let me try to plan how I'm going to do this. See how I can get her by herself. Let me plan this out. Let me strategize here. Because, grace abound. God see me. He can't wait to forgive me for this. See, they're playing with God. That's what's happening. People are playing with God because they don't think God is serious. They don't think God is going to judge them for this. No. God is going to understand. It reminds me of one time I was working. The guy was on the phone and he said, I was trying to fix his computer. He said, lady was like, his mom came in. We got to go to church. I guess it was Wednesday. I'm like, wow, they go to prayer meeting. We got to go to church. The dude said, God is going to understand. I need to get this computer fixed so I can play my game. God is going to understand. Grace abounds. They're playing with God. That's what they're doing. And think that God isn't going to do good or evil. But they're going to all be surprised one day when they figure out that God isn't playing. He isn't playing.
He's going to judge our conscience and where our heart is in regard to these things, where our knowledge is in regard to these things. And so,
come on, that question is pretty, that is pretty simple. You know where his mind is. You know, this is an Adventist. That's what when an Adventist dies on the Sabbath in McDonald's. No, unless this Adventist doesn't know up from down. I guess you might have a point there. But he's referring to an Adventist. See, he knows. But why are we so scared to answer these questions? Tell you why. Because we're Trinitarians. That's right. They have made us Christians. Let me repeat that. The Pentecostals, the Baptists, and all the rest of them, all of them, they have made us Christians. That's why we walk on eggshells when we're around these people. Because you see, before 1950s, we wasn't Christian. We didn't have that title. We only had that title in our minds. Oh, Seventh-day Adventists, they're Christians. No, we were never seen as Christians. We were seen as we were seen as a sect, as a cult. That's how Seventh-day Adventists were seen. And we keep crying and crying and crying. Oh, please, I'm Christian. Oh, please, I'm Christian. I'm Christian just like you. No, you're not like me. I'm a Trinitarian. You ain't a Trinitarian. No, but everything else we just see. No, everything else there. That is it. That's all of it. That is all of it. You ain't Trinitarian? That's it right there. We don't have to talk about nothing. No, but we Trinitarian too. No, you're not Trinitarian. Yeah, we know you're a prophet, Ellen G. White. She ain't no Trinitarian. We know all your people that are wrong. They wasn't Trinitarian either. Oh, they give us a good time. Give us a good looking whenever we had to do debates with them. Yeah, we didn't forget them. Yeah, they was no Trinitarian. No, but we Trinitarians now. Yeah, you prove that. You want to prove it? Yeah, you prove that. How you prove that? But we change everything about ourselves. You know, Jesus before, what Adventists used to teach was that he came with a sinful nature. Well, you see, that's not Trinitarian. He said, that's a problem right there. Jesus didn't have a sin. You can't be a Trinitarian and believe that. Oh, we got to get rid of that. Oh, that's not a problem. We change that too. That's right. When he came like Adam before the fall. How about that? Oh, now you're talking. Now you're talking. Yeah, we can live with that. And how about these other heretical statements that you got? We fix them all. We fix them all. Oh, really? Yeah, we no problem. We take care of that. How about all those fringe lunatics that's in the Seventh-day Adventist church that's old head? They ain't gonna stand for that. We wait till all them dead. That ain't a problem. We wait till all them dead, and we be just like you. But when that happened, and you come back, and when that took place, we came back. Oh yeah, we in line now. Oh really? Yeah, we even Trinitarians now. We put it in our books. See our fundamental belief? Look at what that says. We're Trinitarians. We believe in the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, and all three of them is one. Just like you. Now you're talking. Oh yeah. Oh brother. Brother Adventist. No, you one of us. You're Christians now. Oh, thank you so much. That's how Seventh-day Adventists became Christians. God didn't give that to us. They gave us that title. And where did they get that title? Did God give that title to them? No. Who gave it to them? Who was it that called them Christians? Was it the apostle? Was the apostle going around calling themselves Christians? It was the pagans that first called us Christians. That's not what we were. Or do you mean to tell me that the apostles and all of them, when they were, people didn't know them by, they didn't call them that? Yeah, we did a bunch of nobodies. They don't got no name. The Bible tells us what we were called. We were called the sect of the Nazarenes. That's what we were called. That was what we were called. But you see, that's too close to Judaism. You can't say that. Let's just go with Christ and Christian. Where did these words come from? These are translations. Where did these words come from? They were preaching in Christ, especially Christ. Christ wasn't preaching in Greek, was he? Because Christ straight up told him, I came to the lost sheep of Israel. And he didn't went out from Israel. Did he? Pagan give them that name, and then they give us that name. Now we Christians, just like them. That's why Jose's having such a hard time there. He got to walk on eggshells there because they give it to us, and they can take it away. That's right, brothers and sisters. They gave us the name of Christians, and they can as easily as they gave it, take it away, resend it. Ain't Christians no more. And all of a sudden, man told us that we ain't Christians, so, oh my goodness, we're going to hell. Oh, you got to tell us that we Christians again, because we all going to hell if we don't do that. We Christian, I promise you. Now, if you don't see something wrong with this, I can't tell you anything.
Seventh-day Adventist dies in Mickey D's? I don't know. That's up to God.
All right. Tony, we will say the same thing over to you.
Yeah, I would say if he dies at Burger King, he's definitely lost. Yeah, I mean, again, I guess that question is about an Adventist who's working on the Sabbath.
Yeah, because see how he said that? Yeah, if you're from Burger King, you definitely lost. Sin pelos en la lengua. Straight shooter. That's what this is what it is. Okay, so Jose couldn't do that. Couldn't do that. He was like, let me show you how it's done.
Sabbath. I see no problem if, even Christians who have to work on Sunday, if you hold to the Lord's Day, which I do. Now, not as a Sabbath. I don't see the Lord's Day as a Sabbath. This is where even Miles and I would disagree.
He didn't see the Lord's Day as a Sabbath. You can't make this up. Mine's like, you ain't getting into it. How mercy.
But the point being that I don't see the observance of any particular day as binding on us in the new covenant, and therefore this would be, to me, would not be an issue of salvation.
It wouldn't be an issue of salvation to him. How about to God? How about to God? Do you think it would be an issue of salvation to God? Oh no, that's because mercy abound. It's grace abound. We can do all of that because God He is right there on our beck and call. Just waiting. Please ask me. Please, before you go to sleep today, ask me to forgive you for what you just did. And notice, when you're doing this, who are you sinning against? See, there's a whole bunch of sins. You have sin that is against your fellow man. Sin that's against your fellow man, you have to ask your fellow man for forgiveness first before you ask God for forgiveness. The Bible is clear about this. If you have aught against your brother and you come to make sacrifice, leave your sacrifice there at the door, at the altar. Go and be reconciled to your brethren, then come and get right with me. You have to do it with both. Now, when would you have to reconcile with your brother? The last 6 commandments. You have to go to your brother and ask forgiveness for whatever you did to him or her. How about the first 4? Because they're part of the covenant too, right? They're part of the 10 commandments. If you take God's name in vain, should you ask forgiveness for that? Should you ask your brethren forgiveness for that? No, it doesn't have anything to do with it. This is directly against you and God. But you see, you ain't breaking the Sabbath when you break the Sabbath. So you don't have to ask forgiveness. Can't make this up, can you? How could you be forgiven for something that you denies even took place. That's why they're going to die in their sins. They're going to die in them. Because they can't stop sinning. They're going to die in their sins. Not out of it, in the sins. Strange stuff.
All right. This is kind of a question. Gentiles debating covenant established only with Israel, ? Shaking my head. I guess you could frame that as was the covenant only made with Israel? Something in that regard. Jose, you have 1 minute.
Yeah, so if you listen to my opening statement, and I think I said it in my rebuttal too. I mean, look, here's the problem. The new covenant was made with Israel as well. Read Hebrews chapter 8, Jeremiah 31. That's another part of what I believe is an inconsistent argument.
It always amazed me how Jose does not push this issue. Doesn't ask for a response. He's like, throw it out there. Yeah, let's carry on. Next, let's go to the next slide. This is a very, very important point to get across. You have to make sure that you push them and press them on this. If the old covenant was made between God and Israel, and that means that we are not in there, because that's what they're saying. We're not in that covenant. We're outside of that covenant. We don't have anything to do with that. But the new covenant is also made with Israel and Judah. It isn't made with the Gentiles, which would be what we are. So that would mean they're being part of the new covenant either. And it's always amazed me. He brought this point up multiple times. But it's like a side issue. He doesn't mention it and go about. You mention this thing and go about. You mention that, you put that in their face. This is what it says. What do you think about this? The new covenant is made not with the Gentiles. It's made with the Jews. Now, you're either a Jew or you're not. Because this covenant, they ain't made with Gentiles. They're made with the Jews only. Now, Paul also speaks about, said that we're Jews. We're the real Jews. Because the Jew is not one that's born. I would love for one of those guys to try to pull that up. So, but well, that's interesting. Well, then, you are a Jew then. Can I make this up? There's no way for them to run with that question. Nowhere. The only thing that they can do is try to ignore it. Just step away from it. Don't answer it. Don't even acknowledge the question. That's the only way that they would be able to get away from that. I mean, it's a shame that he wouldn't push this. I mean, get an answer. When he was in his answer time, that he was asking questions, I would have been there. That would have been my focus text. Because this would force them to really acknowledge what the Bible says. Because either they're a Jew or they're not. I mean, there's no gray area there. You're either a Jew or you're not a Jew. Because this covenant was made with the Jews. So if you want to claim any of them, now you have to explain to me how you are a Jew and not a Jew. It's a shame he didn't push it, but
all right. So when we're looking at this,
it's a lot easier looking than
that
doing.
was the covenant because it was with Israel. Hebrews 8 states multiple times.
Look at how he's listening. He's like, yeah, please hurry up and just get past this. Because I'm not even going to answer this.
I am making a covenant with the house of Israel, with the house of Judah. I mean, either we need to realize that both the old and the new covenant invited Gentiles to be a part of that. I mean, Isaiah 56 talks about Gentiles who want to join the Lord and keep the Sabbath day holy. They could get circumcised even in those days and do that as well. So I think both covenants invite.
Well, you had to be circumcised in those days. That wasn't a suggestion. Yeah, you had to be circumcised. There was no way around that one.
Gentiles to join. It's a matter of how.
All right. Thank you for that, Jose. Tony, anything you want to add? 1 minute.
Yeah, the Mosaic covenant was made with Israel. There's no doubt about that. That's why.
See that? He knew he had to say something. And what did he say? Ignored everything that Jose said. Jose said the new covenant was made with Israel. Oh no, the Mosaic covenant that was made. Everybody knows that. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about the new covenant. But see how fast he deflect? It's just waiting on him to finish so he can try to derail people thinking. Someone had to stop and think about what he just said. We gotta stop that in the bud. He can't help people thinking about these type of things. So he just ran right in. Yeah, the Mosaic covenant was made with the Jews. The Mosaic covenant in the New Testament, the one that you call the New Covenant, that's the one that was made with the Jews. Basically, that's not what he's saying. He went right down to Moses. He ain't talking about the New Testament. He's talking about the Old. You know, I would have pressed him on that, man, like there was no tomorrow.
John 1:17, the law came through Moses, but grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. And also, we notice in Ephesians 2 that Paul tells us that.
I mean, get you so upset that how they were just. I mean, it's really Jose's fault, honestly. He's the one that doing the debate. He's the one that had to really hammer that home. I mean, that you had to really put that nail in the wall and put that in there with a sledgehammer. I mean, you had to nail that and nothing could move that. Right in front of his eyes. Don't let him see or hear anything else. Everything, my whole debate would have been right around that verse. Please explain this verse to me. Yeah, this is in the Mosaic covenant. This is the new covenant. Who is that with? I would have made him answer that question. But things runs a lot different when you're in the hot seat. Really.
That dividing wall that kept the Gentiles out of the Commonwealth of Israel, that dividing wall, which was the law of commandments in writings, that kept us out, and Christ had to.
You don't know what he's talking about. This commandment, right? He's referring to the Romans 7. Please look at my video on Romans 7. The guys are all confused.
Away with that, he had to nail it to his cross, thereby breaking down the wall of partition and taking of the two. He made one new man. That's the church. The one new man is the church in Christ. And so the law kept the Gentiles out. That's why they had food law.
The one new man is the church. I thought the woman is. These guys are all confused, I tell you. But that's what happens when you feed delusions. That's what happens.
There was ways they dressed to keep them distinct from the nations. Now, the new covenant was made with Israel and Judah, but it had to be.
Oh, he is addressing it. Let's see what he's going to say.
Made with them first because the Messiah came to Israel first. But the prophets also said.
Oh my goodness! You see, you see how he tried to. Yeah, you know, he said that, but it had to be made with. What do you mean it had to be made with him? His whole reasoning here is that it wasn't made with them. No, it had to be made with them. Why did it have to be made? Oh man, Jose, he really dropped the ball, man.
That the Messiah would also be a light to the Gentiles, and therefore it was not just Israel, but by extension, it would go to the Gentile nations, as the prophets also predicted.
You can't make this up, brothers and sisters. How his explanation for that is that, you know, that's because Jesus came from the Jews. So the covenant was made with Christ. You can't make this up. That's what he does. That's his explanation for it. The covenant was made with Christ. Yeah, I don't care about what he said. Listen to what he said. And what he is laying out there was that the covenant was made with Christ. And in Christ, he came for the Gentile. That's not true. The Bible clearly tells us who Christ came for. He came to the lost sheep of Israel. That's who Christ came for and to. The lost sheep of Israel. So, but that's us. No, wait a minute. That can't be you because you say you are not a Jew. So how could you be the lost sheep of Israel? Because for you to be lost, the lost sheep of Israel, mean that you was there. You can't be lost when you were never found. That doesn't make any sense. It's like I lost one sheep that I didn't have. Huh? Yeah, I lost a sheep that I didn't have. What do you mean you lost a sheep that you didn't have? Yeah, you know, I lost the one that I didn't have. I didn't even see him. I didn't even know he was born. But I lost him. I don't know where he gone. Wait a minute, how can you lost something that you didn't have? You know, it's a figure of speech, you know, that's something that we just like to say. Cool stuff, right? They speak a whole lot of nonsense. Better do it with style. The Bible says whole bunch of swelling words of nothing. It build up to that bus. Just dissipate, just like, you know where you're going. And he just as confused as you. Because he thought he said something.
All right. This individual had another comment. Gentiles are not under the law because they never were, but then they continue by saying, Jose, please explain the words in Matthew 15:24 and Romans 11:11 and 25. If you want to take a second to get there, I don't know if we'll necessarily be able to get to both of those quickly, but Matthew 15:24 and Romans 11:11 and 25. You can begin speaking when you get there, sir, and you are ready to go.
Yeah, there's no way I'm explaining this in 1 minute. I'm going to simply just state to you that when he says, I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, of course, Romans 11 is talking about Israel's election, the remnant, aspects of that nature. I would just simply state to that, well, I mean, Paul made it clear. Salvation, Jesus said, salvation is of the Jews. Paul said, for the Jew first and then the Gentile. And so when we're dealing with this aspect, that's why I'm saying when you see both covenants that were made with Israel, but Israel was meant to be the vehicle by which the covenants went to the rest of the world. Isaiah, I think 49 points that out, that they were to be a light to the Gentiles, the nations. And so even through the remnant, they also brought the light of Jesus.
Perfect 1 minute again, sir. Tony, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, it adds to what I just said earlier, that Jesus came first for Israel. That's what the prophet said. He would come to his own, but his own did not receive him. And then then the message goes to the Gentiles. So we're not disputing that, of course. Matthew 15:24, I've been sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But our reader or our questioner should check Matthew 28:19 and following. He now says, make disciples of all the nations. So it's gone from only Israel to now all the nations, fulfilling the prophets that he would come first to Israel and then by extension be a light to the Gentiles. Paul in Romans 11 is pointing out that at the end of time, this is the view that I hold to, he's pointing out that there is a remnant among the Jewish people who have come to believe in Yeshua the Messiah. In fact, I had a Jewish believer in my church just yesterday joining us for worship. But at the end of time, there is going to be a remaining remnant of Jews that are going to turn to their Messiah, and all Israel will be saved. Not all Israel in that every single Jew that's ever lived is going to be saved, but all of the remnant, the remaining remnant of the Jews who believe in the Messiah will be saved. So you need
It's all Israel shall be saved. That's what's going to be saved. All Israel. Ain't going to be an exception. But see, when they talk about Israel, they are speaking about the physical Israel. Those people that was born Jew from Jewish parents. This is what these people are way beyond confused. See, the only way that they can get around that is to say that the Bible is wrong. The Bible said all Israel, but it doesn't mean that. It doesn't. It obviously it's not all Israel. See, God is lying. The Bible is lying. You gotta listen to what I'm going to tell you. You throw the Bible away. I'm going to tell you what's what right here. No, brothers and sisters. All Israel will be saved. All. Their problem is they don't know what Israel is. Israel is God's children. Everyone that's an Israelite must be an Israelite in heart, in spirit, in mind. This is the real Israel, because even Paul tells us that those people that are born Jews, they're from Hagar. You let that sink in. That's what Paul said. Paul wasn't confused with this. But Paul said a whole lot of things hard to be understood. And people that is not adept, not equipped to handle it, they pick up all kind of nonsense and run with it. All Israel will be saved. Israel is God's people. And you are not born into that. You are made into that. You got a whole lot of Israelites, real Israelites, they call them, that don't even believe that God exists. And I don't know exactly how the thing is down there in Israel, but I have friends that went there and said, well, those people, most of those people are atheists. Like, what? Just to show you how the devil works. Just to show you know how the devil works. These are physical Israel, the people that represents. They are, they are what you call the shadow. The physical Israel, they're the shadow. Christ was the real thing. And everyone that follow Christ is the real thing. Whenever we say that we are the sons and daughters of God, they don't even know what that means. They don't even grasp the concept, the importance. They can't even grasp that. You're the son of God, because they throw this word out there like it's a byword. I'm a son of God. I'm a daughter of God. Yeah. And what does that mean? If you're a son or daughter of God, what are you? Exactly what are you? And they confuse it. What do you mean, what am I? Yeah. If you're a son of God, what are you? You're a daughter of God, what are you? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. All right. You are a son of man, right? Yeah. Why are you a son of man? Because I came from man. Oh. What are you then? Well, I'm man. Oh. And if you're a son of God, what are you? Huh? Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? I don't understand the question. What do you mean? You just answered the question. What do you mean you don't understand the question? I mean, that is so far out there, so far out of their comprehension that they can't even grasp the question, brothers and sisters. They can't even grasp the question. What do you mean? What do you mean? These are people that's teaching us today.
Time.
All of Scripture, not just part of Scripture.
All right. This person says to Jose, theoretically, if you were promoting a false prophet on Sabbath, would you be breaking the Sabbath?
Yeah, I'm assuming you're wanting to deal with the Ellen White question. That's a debate for another time. The only thing I'm going to say to you is the debate is whether or not she really is a false prophet. Now, obviously, the arguments that my opponent would say yes, and many others would do the same thing. I would differ with that under the gift of prophecy, the talents given. But I do believe that if a prophet is a prophet of God, they're going to speak according to God's word. Of course, the problem is we don't all agree right now, as you can tell, on what God's word actually is saying. And so obviously that's going to be the lens by which some of us are going to say true or false. And so that's something we all have to study out and be honest with God for ourselves.
Well, I think to answer that question, I guess it's kind of difficult to answer that question because it's the question is actually not it's not thought through. But I get the idea. He's most likely talking about Ellen G. White. If you are lying on the Sabbath, I don't know if you're breaking the Sabbath, because that's something totally separate and different. The Bible says you break when you break all. Lying, obviously, is a sin. But if you murder someone, did you commit adultery as well? No, I don't think so. Unless you committed adultery and murdered someone. If you lie to someone, did you steal from them? I mean, you can kind of look at that and say, well, you're lying, you're probably deceiving someone, you're stealing knowledge from them. It's a kind of a gray area, but I would answer that question no. I don't think one has anything to do with the other. Logically speaking, if you want to go in depth, you break when you break all, the things are connected. Somehow they're connected. When you're talking about the one to man, right? Like if you call God name and being, did you steal from your brother? Did you curse his mother? Did you commit adultery with his wife? If you take God's name in vain, but if you break one, you break all. So it's the question. Like I said, the question isn't well thought through. It's kind of vague and it doesn't make much sense. But hopefully that did something.
All right. Thank you, sir. Tony, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I would agree with the premise that if you're promoting a false prophet on Sabbath or whatever, let's say the Lord's Day on Sunday, would you be breaking the Sabbath or the Lord's Day? Well, yes, you would. So any promotion of a false prophet is sinful to God.
Wait a minute, what did he say just now?
It's Deuteronomy 13.
Wait a minute, what did he say?
It's and the Sabbath on Sabbath.
Ed?
Yeah, I would agree with the premise that if you're promoting a false prophet on Sabbath or whatever, let's say the Lord's Day on Sunday, would you be breaking the Sabbath or the Lord's Day? Well,
Oh, okay, he's talking about Sunday and Sabbath.
yes, you would. And
he would. This is what he teaches his congregation. This you can't make this up. Talk about expand on the law. This is it. I mean, this is why Christ came to make it audible, make it greater, right? He expanded on it. Before, if you was to commit adultery, You know, to commit adultery, you had to actually go in and sleep with the woman. And Christ said, no, if you even think about it, you've committed adultery with her already in your heart. Where? In your heart. How is that done? By thinking about it. Where? In your mind, in your heart.
And so any promotion of a false prophet is sinful to God because it's apostasy. It's the Deuteronomy 13.
I mean, it definitely would be apostasy. I mean, we're talking about different degrees of something else here now. But they just like the mix. It's like spaghetti. Everything touches, right? It's like all mushy and everything is cross all over the place. It's very confusing the way they try to turn stuff. I guess he's reading the question. He's trying to agree with it. And to agree with that, he have to say what he just said, the nonsense that just came out of his mouth. It's
5. It goes on to say that if anyone amongst you turns away from the Lord under the Mosaic law, they were to be executed for apostasy under the Mosaic law. Thank God we're not under that today.
This is the whole problem. They think that they are not under that today. Why? Because we are not doing that ourselves. That's why he thinks that. Because we are not doing that ourselves. You know, when Christ came, the reason why we don't have to kill animals to be forgiven is because Christ died. Now you have to kill yourself. That's what you have to kill. You have to kill yourself. Paul said, I die daily. Every day you have to do that. But you know, see, it's easier now. It's easier now. These people have no common sense. They have no bearing on what the scripture says. Because they think that now we have it made. Now we can go and sin and do. You should be hiding in fear to know that you can't sacrifice an animal anymore for forgiveness. But you see, we have grace abound here. We can do whatever we want, and God understand. Jesus understand. He understand that we are humans. We only humans. We can't do no better. And that right there is the problem, isn't it? See, God's children isn't just humans. God doesn't give birth to humans, does he? This is the thing that they can't understand. Everything is 1,000 times worse, not better. You see, with freedom comes responsibility. It's not free. This is the thing that they can't understand. And their watered down gospel is that we can continue sinning and God's going to understand. We can sin all the way up until he get here. We don't even have to ask forgiveness. This is how far somebody lunatic goes. We don't even have to ask forgiveness because God paid it all on the cross. So if God forgive everything on the cross, then you don't need to ask forgiveness, do you? It's forgiven. It's forgotten. It's forgotten before you even did it. So which means you didn't even do anything. You can't make this up, brothers and sisters. These are the people that's teaching people. This dude has no clue of what he's talking about.
But I think apostasy was a federal crime under the theocracy of God with Israel.
So you know that God's going to kill you. They think that they're going to get away. Man is not the one administering these punishment anymore, brothers and sisters. Before, it was a lot easier. If you did something, the people would have made an example of you. This would have stopped other people. Not because they don't want to do these things, but because they know the stones are there on the ground. That's why it was needed. Because Christ had to come through these people. Just think about it. God just spoke to them, the 10 Commandments. Just spoke to them a few days ago. Moses would go up into the mountain. A few days pass, yeah, well, they ain't coming back. Let's just make ourselves. I mean, he is right over their heads. And the mountain is right in front of them. They were so scared they wouldn't even lift their head when God was speaking. They plant their faces in the dirt and they close their eyes. And as soon as God got up and went back into the mountain, they're like, We need to put some God over us so it can take us back into bondage. I mean, you can't make this up. Now, you explain to me how they didn't need these laws. The whole mind is sick. That's the only way God could have helped them. That's the only way God could have helped them. Anyways, now you get here to man, you can't make this up. Oh goodness.
Yeah, I would agree with the premise.
Before I lose my thought. Today, is God the one who's administrating this punishment? And you see, because it's not done out in the open, they think nothing is happening. They think nothing is happening. See, they don't realize that there is a judgment going on. And when they die, they go straight to it. Yeah, they bypass all of us, all of our children and our great-great-great-grandchildren. When they die, they go straight to the end, immediately. But you see, for them right now, he ain't doing that now. My great-grandfather died. He wasn't judged. You think that? When your great-grandfather died, he went through all of us immediately. He didn't jump over. He went right through us. And went right through our children and their children and their children. And he landed straight at the second coming. That's where your great-grandfather is. You see, but that hasn't happened yet. But to him, he ain't seen none of this. He doesn't care about any of this either. This doesn't include him. It doesn't take him into consideration. What's he gonna do here? But they believe that his great-grandfather is looking at his great-great-great-grandchildren down here doing all this wickedness and doing all these things and beating their hair and all the stuff that they're doing today. The alphabet peoples, all the stuff they're doing today. What? They don't think that God is going to judge, see? What, God is going to judge me? God can't judge me. I'm beyond judging. I'm going straight to heaven. They're going to see if God make an exception. Because God comes at the end of every person's life. That's the moment he arrives. And in that split second has all of our history. Yeah, he ain't getting there before us. And we ain't going to get there before him. We all going to get there at the exact same time. At the exact same time. Right down to the millisecond. We all going to get there at that same time. As soon as we die, we get to that point. And that point is in the future. It's not like great-great-grandfather died and he was judging the past. No, he's judging the future. He run right through all of us. In that split second, in the blink of an eye. That's when it takes place. And all of us that day, because people think, oh, we're going to be he can be rolling over. No one's going to be rolling over in hell. Ain't going to be enough time to roll over. Unless you can roll over in a twinkling of an eye. Ain't nobody going to be rolling over nowhere. He can close his eye and open them again, and that'll be it. All of us are going to be right there by his side. That's after you die too. You're going to be right there by his side. And you're going to get there exact same time that he get there. And that's going to be a split second. That's how long it's going to take before you know what's coming to you. That's when God's going to make his example of everybody.
But you could also be a heretic and keep the Sabbath. There's a lot of Sabbatarian groups out there. There's the Armstrong cult. And again, with all due respect, Jose, the Seventh-day Adventists are a cult just as much as Armstrong and all the other Sabbatarian cults.
Well, but I would say yes, that's right. We are a cult. You know, they did throw around this word cult like it means something. Like, what do you mean by cult? Like it doesn't have a meaning. The word cult doesn't have a meaning. It simply means that we don't believe what you believe. That's what a cult is. Anyone that stands out of the mainstream, that's what you call a cult. Seventh-day Adventist definitely is a cult because we ain't part of them. And if we ain't part of them, of course we're a cult to them. What else can we be? We don't believe what they believe. And we don't hold to what they hold. We almost opposite them. How could that not be a cult? But you see, to them, when they say cult, they have all kind of diabolical symbolism is floating around in their mind. A bunch of these people, and they're educated. That's a great part. They're educated people that think that way. It's strange how Seventh-day Adventists can get so bent out of shape over a name. I don't care what you call me. I don't care one iota what you call me. You call me whatever you want. You want to call me color? Have at it. Knock yourself out. But that doesn't change the fact I don't believe what you believe. Because if you want to put that, they would be a cult to me. Because they don't believe what I believe. But you see, they are the majority. Right? That should tell you all you need to know. When has the majority been right? In what stage of history has that ever happened? In what part of history has the majority ever been right? Only when they follow God's commandment, they're right. But these people don't even do that either. They don't even think they're valid about following the commandments. They don't even think they're valid. And they have passed away for these people. I would stand back and say, that's right, we are a cult. And don't you forget it. We ain't part of you guys. But Jose, he's offended. He's like, of course I'm a Christian. What are you talking about? I'm a Christian, yes. Ain't no cult. I don't think you know what cult is either.
All right. Again, another question from Valkyrie. How can SDAs argue for Old Sabbath when the gospel was only preached to Gentiles after Jews rejected it and after Mosaic law was fulfilled? Acts 13, 46 through 47. Jose, you can begin.
How can I say it's argue for Old Testament Sabbath when the gospel is only preached to Gentiles? All right. See if I understand this. How can SDAs argue for Old Testament Sabbath when the gospel was only preached to Gentiles after Jews rejected and after Mosaic law? Well, really, because we don't believe that the Sabbath was just for the Jews. Again, if you're going to make that argument, the Sabbath was just for the Jews, then throw out the new covenant, because the new covenant, the stated words of the new covenant is that it was with the house of Israel, the house of Judah. I mean, if we're going to be true to the words, but clearly that's what the words say, but the application is understood differently. Hence why we have Gentiles in the new covenant. And guess what? There were Gentiles in the old covenant as well. The fact that the Israelites didn't complete their full mission, well, that's what the remnant was for.
No, I have to disagree there. There is no Gentiles. There is no Gentiles. Everybody's a Jew that follow God. Everyone. And if you want to even go even further, there's no Jew either. There's only sons and daughters of God. There's no Gentiles or a Jew. So you can't, either way you want to slice that, there's no Gentile. Either way you want to slice that, there is no Gentiles. Gentiles are lost people. No Gentile is going to be saved. The moment he comes into the fold, he ceases to be a Gentile. You ceases to be a Gentile. You can't hold on to that title. What's that title going to give you? They see they are Gentiles. They are Gentiles. They believe that Gentiles are people that is following God. No, there's a reason why they're called Gentiles. It's not because they are following God. It's because they are not following God. It's because they are not His. That's why they're called Gentiles. You see, in their mind, they are Gentiles. We like to call ourselves Gentiles. Let's say, I can say, okay, no, I would be considered a Gentile physically. But the physical body isn't going to be saved, is it? You cannot be a Gentile spiritually and think that you're okay. Because spiritually, it's your mind. Your mind is Gentile. Your mind is against God. Now, how could that be for God if it's against God, contrary to Him? See? Only Jews getting to heaven. Hope this is trying to getting clear in your mind. Only Jews. Only those people that accept God and accept His fathership. Not just lordship, His fathership. Accept that you are His son or His daughter. Now, how could you be a Gentile if you are God's son? You're trying to make that make sense. These are the people that's teaching people. Tell you.
All right. Tony, anything you would like to add to that, sir?
Yeah, I would say that in the old covenant, if you were to join Israel, you had to be circumcised. You had to be engaged in the sacrificial system and so on. So these are two dispensations. They're not exactly the same here.
But in the New Testament, you still have to be circumcised. See, they all like to say these things. Oh, see, we don't have to be circumcised. I don't need to go and circumcise myself. You have to circumcise something. What is it that you have to circumcise? Like, this isn't up for debate. What is it that you have to circumcise in the New Testament? It's your heart, right? Now, did the Old Testament men have to circumcise their heart too? Could they be saved without circumcising their heart? In the circumcision of the heart, what is that? And then explain to me how the people in the past, how Abraham didn't have that, how Isaac didn't have that, how David didn't have that. Was David circumcised in the heart? Was any of these prophets that's going to go to heaven, were they circumcised in the heart? Any one of the old people from the Old Testament, can they be not circumcised in the heart and get to heaven? You see, Stephen, when they were about to stone Stephen, he let them know that you have to be circumcised in the heart. He was speaking in the Old Testament. See, just like your fathers. Just like them. They was not circumcised in the heart. They were going to be lost. Just like their father was going to be lost. How Stephen told them. So you can see right there that circumcised in the heart was necessary. What was done in the flesh was an outward demonstration of what was happening in the heart. And for them to know, to be able to see. Now, we can't see that today, can we? But we can see it in the life of the person. We can see if that person is circumcised or not. This is why the circumcision of the flesh was a type. It wasn't a real thing. It was a type. What was the antitype? The circumcision of the heart. Circumcision of the flesh was a type. Circumcision of the heart was the antitype. This is what always was supposed to happen. That's why it was given. No one would get to heaven hating God. And how do you circumcise the heart? By your love to God. That's how it's done. You can't love God and hate your enemies, hate your brethren, your neighbor. You can't do that, right? Or maybe they could have done that in the past. These people are, help is what they need.
In the new covenant, you don't need circumcision. In the new covenant,
actually, I should probably pull that up. Let me just prove this. Let me prove this. Romans 2 and verse, let's read 29. This is Romans. Romans is a very interesting book, I tell you. I don't know how they can actually quote Romans. I mean, Romans are really against everything that they stand for. But anyway, let's look at what it says. But he is a Jew, which is one. Let's read that a little further up, actually. Get an idea what we're talking about. Let's see, where is it? There it is. For the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you. The Gentiles. Who's the Gentiles? Is this God's people? No. These are Gentiles. These people are not God's people. These people they are trying to reach to make them Jews. So much for Judaizers, right? Paul was a great Judaizer. For the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it is written. For circumcision verily profited. If thou keep the law, it profited if you keep the law. No, I say verily profited if you keep the law. But if thou be a breaker of the law, by thy circumcision is made uncircumcision. It's a circumcision barely profit if you keep the law. If you keep the law. And if you don't keep the law, it doesn't profit anything. Verily profit, okay. But if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision. Now, this is a physical circumcision here. This is a physical. This was not, it's not spiritual, it's physical. And then down here, say, it is uncircumcision. The circumcision that you have is actually uncircumcision. You're not circumcised. Being circumcised, this is the physical circumcision. If you break the law, say that you are uncircumcised. That's what it says. If you break the law, they're speaking of the Jews that are circumcised. If you break the law, you are uncircumcised. Now, how can you be uncircumcised after you are circumcised? This should be easy to understand, but these people can't understand it. Therefore, if this uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, now he's talking about people that's uncircumcised. These are people that are not Jews. If people that are not the Jews keep the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted as circumcision? This is Paul speaking. Paul said, people that keep the law, they are circumcised. Even if they're not circumcised physically, they're still circumcised. These are people that keep the law, not keep it. See, to me, circumcision is necessary, doesn't it? But let's continue. But shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature. By nature, we are uncircumcised. No one born circumcised. By nature, you're not circumcised. You're born not circumcised. Circumcision is something you have to do after you're born. You getting the point? And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law. If it fulfill the law. The uncircumcision is talking about. Judge thee. Who by the letter and circumcision does transgress the law? Who by the letter and circumcision does transgress the law? What does it say here? They read this, and I tell you, they like read that and read that and read that. What is it saying? Like it can't comprehend what it just said. Let me try to break it down for you. And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature. In other words, a baby that's born, he is by nature, he's not circumcised. When that baby grows up, when he grows up, if he or it fulfill the law, judge thee. Now he said, now judge this. If this person that is not circumcised in the flesh fulfill the law, now you make your judgment. Who by the letter and circumcision does transgress the law? Who transgresses the law? It obviously wouldn't be them. They are fulfilling it. How could they be transgressing it if they are fulfilling it? This is like, they read that 1,000 times. They just can't comprehend what it says. Then they go to a different Bible. Let me get a different Bible so it can say something else. For he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly. This is the physical, the one that's born a Jew from Jewish parents, literally. For he's not a Jew, who is one outwardly. Now, you explain that to these people. They're tired looking at you like you're crazy. He is not a Jew, which is born a Jew. Neither is that circumcision, which is outward in the flesh. So neither is a Jew born, and the circumcision is not the circumcision of the flesh. God doesn't see the Jew child that's born a Jew, and he doesn't see the Jewish child that's circumcised. God doesn't see any of that. What's he looking at? He's looking at this. This is what he's looking at. Whether you are born a Jew or you're not born a Jew, everybody is born uncircumcised, including the Jews. They ain't born circumcised either, including them. Now, a Jew that goes circumcised himself, because he ain't looking at none of that. He doesn't care about the circumcision that's doing in the flesh. That doesn't mean anything. All those Jews that's down there, bunch of atheists, all of them are circumcised. Just about all of them. It's a tradition that they have. Think God take that? God doesn't take that into consideration. That's not what he asked for. For he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision, which is outward in the flesh. But he is a Jew. Now he can tell you who a Jew is. This is Paul speaking. The one I like to quote. But he is a Jew, which is one inwardly. How are you? Where's the Jew? Is the Jew born a Jew or is the Jew made a Jew? But they're not Jews, brothers and sisters. They clearly tell you that. Because if they were Jews, then the commandment would apply to them. But see, they ain't Jews, so they are Gentiles. That's why they don't have to keep the law. Because no Gentiles have to keep the law. They're damned. They don't have to keep the law. And the circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit, and not in the letter. What's the letter here? See, they get all confused with the letter. What in the world do they think the letter? Oh, you're talking about the 10 Commandments, the table of stone. It's talking about the flesh. That's what the letter is. The Trinitarians, they would never be able to put two and two together. They're always going to come with some weird subtraction and addition and multiplication for 2 plus 2. That's a 1,884 and a half. These are the people that's trying to teach us, brothers and sisters. I just want to make that clear. These are the people that's trying to teach us. Who prays is not of men, but of God. This is who a Jew is. See that? According to Paul, the preacher that was sent to the Gentiles. According to Paul, they would never be able to figure that out, brothers and sisters. They're the people that are teaching us. These are the men. Well, they should have done a lot better, tell you. But they.
We don't need to come under Moses. We're no longer under Moses. We're under Christ. And so what is interesting that Valkyrie points out here is very interesting in the book of Acts. Whenever Paul goes on the Sabbath, he goes to the synagogues to preach to the Jews on the Sabbath. But after chapter 18, when they finally kicked him out, and Paul said, fine, you know, we turn away from you, and now we turn to the Gentiles. You'll never hear Paul going back into the synagogue on the Sabbath.
You can't make this up, brothers and sisters. Where did Paul teach these people? See, their defense is that you never see it again. It doesn't have to say it again. If I tell you that the sky is blue, I don't need to tell you that every time I see you. One mention should be enough. Well, you can't remember it? One mention should be enough. These are the people that are teaching that his excuse, he doesn't say it again. And if he was to say it again, but he didn't say it again, see if he said it after this now. If you should have him, show me if he said it after that then. He never did say it again, did he? Didn't need to say it again. He only had to mention it once. And we know that Christ worshiped on the Sabbath. Was Christ worshiping the Sabbath too? Or was he worshiping on this? Because this is something I'd like to say. Oh, you all is worshiping the Sabbath. What's wrong with you? Better get off of that thing that you're smoking. You know about the worshiping the Sabbath. We worship on the Sabbath because that's what God requires. That's why we do it. He asked us to do that. We wasn't asking. Wait, should I really do this, Lord? I don't think I should be worshiping on the Sabbath. You know, I think how about Monday? Monday work for me. I'm worship on Monday. How about that? Next one, Monday can't work for me. Tuesday work for me. Next one over Sunday work for me. Next one on Sunday night would work perfectly for me. I mean, I'll nothing to do on Sunday night. I'll keep those 12 hours. So I can go to sleep. That's their excuse, brothers and sisters. If you notice, they always, without exception, every single one of them, they're going to have to change what the Bible reports. The word said this, but, you know, you really can't look at that. It's like when Christ died, he was 3 days and 3 nights. You know, he wasn't 3 days and 3 nights in the tomb, no, because, you know, he died on Friday. Friday, the preparation. No. The day before Sabbath is the preparation day, ain't Friday. Any day that's a Sabbath, the day before that is a preparation day. When Christ died, the Bible clearly states that there was 2 Sabbaths there. Clearly states it was 2 Sabbaths in that week. And they just can't figure out, what? The preparation day is Friday. No, preparation day is any day before a Sabbath. That's what the preparation day is. How about if unleavened bread had fallen on Friday? Would Friday still be the preparation day? No, it wouldn't, right? Friday would be Sabbath. It would be a yearly Sabbath. It wouldn't be you ain't going to go and prepare for the following Sabbath on a Sabbath. When would be the preparation day? Thursday would be the preparation day. These people are studied people. Like I said, they don't have any excuse. None of them have any excuse for this. Every single one of them, they want to change what the Word of God said. The reason it doesn't make no sense to me, I can't take what that said. No, that I have to find a way to prove this wrong. Instead of find a way to prove it right. Every single one of them does that, brothers and sisters. Every single one of them, including our pastors. And our pastors is the worst. because they should know better. See, most of these people, they really can't blame them because they don't know no better. This is what they have been taught all their life. They bunch of infidels. They don't know no better. They can't do no better. The Trinitarians make it even worse. They have blinders over there. They can't do no better. But our pastors don't have this luxury of an excuse, brothers and sisters. They don't have that. And we think that God isn't going to take martyrdom into his hands soon. But brothers and sisters, you got to wake up. They're coming. You can see when God finally decide to step in, you ain't going to recognize who God is. Because they don't even know who he is today. They don't. We are in such a mess, brothers and sisters. We don't even know our God. We don't even know how our God is, how he moves. We have nothing. Because we're Trinitarian, see? Let's continue.
After that break, he goes directly into the Gentile territories. You don't hear any more about the Sabbath. So when the book of Acts mentions the Sabbath, it always mentions it in the context of Paul's evangelism to his Jewish kinsmen. And so this idea that the Gentiles, I mean, Acts 15, the whole Council of Jerusalem,
Time.
the Gentiles be under the law, and the answer was no.
All right, we have 3 more and we'll be closing things out. Question for both. Revelation 11 reveals the Ark of the Covenant as God judges the world. Is there 9 commandments now in the Ark or 10? This one, since it's for both, Tony, we'll begin with you.
Well, the book of Revelation is apocalyptic literature. It's not something that we have.
You can ignore the entire thing. Oh, goodness. See, what I tell you, they're all going to start off the same way. You can't take it as that reads. You can't. It's apocalyptic. I mean, speaking about the 10 Commandments, that's apocalyptic. You can't make this up, brothers and sisters. The 10 Commandments is apocalyptic. And you let that sink in.
To be careful not to take it literally, because if you take it literally, then Jesus is a lamb in heaven with 7 horns and 7 eyes, and he's going around and he's bleeding like a lamb in heaven.
He can't see the difference between those two things. He just cannot comprehend that those two things are not equal. You have the 10 Commandments. When was the 10 Commandments apocalyptic? And just how would it be apocalyptic? What would be apocalyptic about thou shalt have no other God before me? That's apocalyptic. Honor your father. That's apocalyptic. Doesn't mean what it says. It's apocalyptic. It's where in the Bible do you see God not explain any of the symbols that is presented there? Where? Now, we might not be able to understand the explanation that God gives, but the explanation is there. But you know, we have the 10 Commandments, it's apocalyptic. Where do you find that in Revelation? That the 10 Commandments is, how could it be apocalyptic? Exactly. What do you mean by that? See, they don't have to explain any of this. He just say apocalyptic. He run about his business and his listeners. Yeah, that's apocalyptic. Yeah. And what does that mean? But it obviously means it's apocalyptic. It's what's apocalyptic about it? What is there to explain? What is there? Now you read about the horses and stuff. Each horse represents something. The Bible tells you what these horses represent, right? Now some people don't understand the explanation, but the explanation is given. Where is the explanation of the apocalyptic 10 Commandments? He doesn't have to answer that, see? He only needs to say some nonsense and go about his business. And his listeners is the one that's going to pay the price. He doesn't need to answer any of these questions. I just say it's apocalyptic. I don't know what apocalyptic mean, and neither do you. But just keep in mind that it is apocalyptic, and you can't understand it. You can't understand the 10 Commandments. You need explanation of which one of the 10 do you need explaining with? The Sabbath. Can't make this up.
Heaven. No one believes that. No one believes that he's a lion with a mane and so on. So this lamb.
You see, Benny, man, it almost gets you up. Now it really boils my blood to listen to people like this. I mean, he would just get up there. See, they don't have no fear of God. They don't have fear of anything. They don't fear God. They get up there and they say all this nonsense. They don't fear God because God isn't going to do good or evil. He has never done it, and he's not going to do it. They have gotten away with it all this time. Why would he change? He doesn't need to look into this. He doesn't need to understand it. He doesn't need to present the truth. He doesn't need to do any of that. He just need to get up there and say whatever he wants and go about his business because no one is checking him. See? That's what he believes. But you're going to realize one day that somebody's checking. Somebody's checking.
Language of the Ark of the Covenant is speaking of God's the presence. It's associated with his throne. It's the footstool of Yahweh. So everywhere the Ark of the Covenant appears in the Old Testament, it's referred to as the footstool of Yahweh.
I wonder what he's going to say when the Ark of the Covenant is presented there in Israel. Oh yeah, brothers and sisters, that is going to happen. Ron Wyatt saw the Ark of the Covenant. He touched it. He held the Ten Commandments in his hand. Ron Wyatt did that. He went and told the Jews where it was, and they decided, we're going to go and take that out of there. God killed all of them that went in there. Every single one of them. They had to call Ron Wyatt back, and he had to tie a rope so he can pull them. They were in the most holy place. Look, just stop thinking about it. How come God killed the Jews, but Ron Wyatt, he wasn't a Jew? God didn't kill him. He was able to touch the ark. He was able to touch the 10 Commandments. And God didn't kill him. But the Jews that went in there, yeah, they realized that somebody was in there. Yeah, they figured that out right quick. And everybody decided, well, I don't think I want to go and see what these people saw. Ron Wyatt had to come back to Jerusalem and tie these people up so they can drag them out of that chamber. You may say, that's not right. That Ron Wyatt wouldn't be able to do that, but it happened before. It's in the Bible. When the Philistines, I think it was the Philistines, they conquered Israel and they took the ark. Now tell me something. How did they take it? They didn't have to touch the ark in order to move it. Remember Uzzah. Uzzah, he went put his hand on the covering. See, this is how we think today. We all somehow we think that when the ark was inside of the most holy place, nobody could see the ark. But when they take it out of the most holy place, everybody could see the ark. Just paraded across around it. Everybody would see. That's not true, Brandon. No one saw the ark. Not even those people that carried the ark saw the ark. For them to take the ark out of the most holy place, they had to put the curtain down on top of it. And they had to wrap the Ark of the Covenant with this curtain thing that they had there, this divine partition. That's what they had to put on the ark. Only the Most High Priest was able to see the ark once a year. Only him, no one else. That's why no one was ever able to make a replica. We don't know what it looked like until Ron Wyatt gave us a drawing of what it looked like. That's how we know what the Ark of the Covenant looked like. Ron Wyatt drawing, this is what it looked like. It looked like this. He took pictures and God wouldn't permit it the picture to be developed. It always faded out. Like there was God couldn't take no picture, but he was able to write out. He said, this is what it looked like. It looked like this. Uzzah put his hand on the covering, and God killed him for that. The covering. He didn't touch the staff or anything. He touched the covering that was on top. Yeah, I want to just put my hand there because I want to fall down. God said, what are you doing? And how about the Philistine? The Philistine picked up the ark, took it to their place, took it down off the wagon, took it inside their temple, and put it in front of their God. Could they move the ark without, or maybe they were just doing that with their mind. They had like sometimes psychic power. They just let the ark cover. We ain't going to touch it because it's a holy. We ain't going to touch it. They didn't know anything about that. They picked the ark up and they took it. That was their trophy. And when God started raining down judgment on them, they would take it out. They'd pick it up again and they send it somewhere else. And God started raining down judgment down there. We got to get this out of hand. This thing going to kill all of us. They pick it up again and they put it on top of a cart. That right there tell you that it wasn't moved. It wasn't on a cart when they were doing all of this. They had to pick that up to do that. They had to touch it. Now, who would think in their mind that you would go and get your spoils of war and bring, all of a sudden, your God conquered their God? So obviously, your God is stronger than their God, right? That would be common sense in my way of thinking. My God is stronger than your God. That's why we were able to conquer you. Who in their right mind would think that they didn't think to look inside the ark? Who in their right mind? These people doesn't have a mind, see? They don't think that far ahead. Because this is all the stories that they read. Of course, they opened the ark. Of course, they saw what was inside the ark. They said, well, this is what's in here. It's just there's some tails. Just put it back, close it back. God started raining down on them. Make a long story short, they said, we got to get this out of here. And they put it on a new carriage with some bullocks, and you pull it. And then they went in one, just to make sure, say, let's see if maybe we created something. These cows had a calf. Now, the cow would never leave her calf. And they said, well, if you have a calf, we can just hold the calf and see if they would keep on walking. Or would the cow stop and wait on her calf? They hold the calf and they didn't stop. And the cow had somewhere to go. And we're like, wait, this is... So we have to follow it now to see where it's going to go. And so it was going right back to Israel. So we can follow and see what's going to happen to it. And they walk behind. These are the princes. They're walking behind to see what's going to happen with the ark. So the ark went right there and stopped right in one of in these guys' field. And they said, well, look like the ark is where it wants to be. And they went, well, let's go back home. We ain't touch it. We definitely ain't bringing it back. That's for sure. They wouldn't bring it back. They did all this to get rid of it. They wouldn't bring it back. They said, well, they stopped right there. That's where it want to be. They went back home. Now, the people, the Jews that was there, someone said, the ark is back here. It's in this guy's field. Oh, really? Hold on, don't come back. God, bring the ark back to us. And the Jews came. Let us take a peek. Ain't no priest around here. No one's going to do it. Let's just take a look-see. And they're looking. God rained down judgment right away. Yeah, this wasn't... Because remember with the Philistines, it was over a period of time. It didn't happen right away. It didn't happen right away when they wake up. This statue had fallen down next time, breaking up in pieces, and you get rid of this thing, and then plagues started coming down. It didn't happen right away. But with the Jews, that was instant. That was instant, brothers and sisters. Now tell me this. How come these Philistines could touch the ark and the Jews couldn't? Want to know why? Because they knew better. The Philistines didn't know any better. They didn't know any better. God winked. The time of ignorance, God winks at. But when you know better, God expects better. And God isn't playing. These people don't know where they're standing, see? That's why God permit them to run about in their lives, all the foolishness and nonsense that they speak. God said, you don't know no better. Let's leave you alone. Now we're going to talk to him.
And so in the book of Revelation, it speaks of his holiness. It's his divine presence. And so the question of the commandments being in the ark doesn't even come up. It's irrelevant. The point is that this is apocalyptic imagery. It's talking about God's presence, his divine presence. And in the context of Revelation 11, it's talking about the two witnesses and how God vindicates them by raising them up and raising them to himself. So be very careful. We're not talking about a literal ark in heaven.
Man, I tell you, hard to listen. I thought I was going to finish, but I got things to do too. Oh, brothers and sisters, I think I'm going to stop it right here. But just keep in mind, brothers and sisters, the level of lunacy that one must have to come to the conclusion that the 10 Commandments is apocalyptic. You let that simmer. You can't make these stuff up, brothers and sisters. You cannot make these stuff up. You really have to see and hear to believe. May God bless and keep you. It's my prayer for you. You have a wonderful Sabbath. Bye-bye.